Try to remember last Tuesday, not last week, not a normal day. Last Tuesday specifically. What did you eat for lunch? What did you talk about? What were you wearing? For most people, it's already gone. Not because it was a bad day, because it wasn't a day at all. Not really. It was a copy of the day before it. And here's the part that should bother you more than it probably does. You didn't lose that day by doing anything wrong. You didn't make a bad decision on that Tuesday. You didn't waste it on purpose. You just lived it the way you live most days. And it disappeared anyway. That's the strange thing about wasting your life. It almost never feels like wasting your life. It feels like Tuesday. This video isn't about becoming more productive. It's not about hustle or discipline or waking up earlier. It's about something quieter than that and a little more unsettling. Because the most dangerous way to lose years of your life isn't through one bad choice. It's through thousands of ordinary ones, repeated so often your brain stops even noticing they're happening. By the end of this, you're going to recognize yourself, probably more than once. Let's start with the part of your day you never think about at all. You wake up, check your phone, get ready, commute, work, eat something, come home, scroll, watch something, sleep, then you do it again and again. At some point, without noticing the exact moment it happened, Monday started blending into Wednesday. Wednesday started blending into Friday, and an entire month slipped by somewhere in the gap between them. There's a reason for this, and it isn't that time is speeding up. Researchers Daniel Gilbert and Matthew Killingsworth tracked thousands of people in real time, checking in on them randomly throughout their days to ask what they were doing and where their mind was. Nearly half the time, people's minds were somewhere other than the thing in front of them. And that wandering, they found, wasn't just distracted. It made people measurably less happy, even when the thing they were doing wasn't unpleasant at all. You can be present for your life without being present in it. Here's the other piece. Your brain doesn't store time the way a calendar does. It stores time the way a camera does, through new, distinct moments. First day at a job. First time in a new city. First real conversation with someone you'd end up loving. Routine gives your brain nothing new to file away. So instead of recording 5 different days, it writes one script and reuses it. Monday looks like Tuesday, which looks like Wednesday, which your memory eventually just merges into a single blur. You don't remember the year, you remember a highlight reel of maybe 6 moments from it. The rest wasn't lost. It was never recorded in the first place. And that's the trap. Routine feels safe, it feels like stability, but your brain quietly interprets nothing new happened as nothing happened at all. Which means the more comfortable your life gets, the faster it seems to disappear. You open your phone for 5 minutes. You check one thing, then another, then another. And eventually you look up and realize the room has gotten darker. Nothing terrible happened. You didn't make a bad decision. You just disappeared for an hour. It's tempting to call this laziness, but that's not quite right, and the truth is a little stranger. Your brain isn't scrolling because it's enjoying itself. It's scrolling because it's waiting. Every swipe is a small bet. This next post, this next video, might be the interesting one. That uncertainty is the same mechanism behind a slot machine. You're not chasing a reward, you're chasing the possibility of one. That's why it doesn't actually feel relaxing, even while you're doing it. And why, an hour later, you often feel more drained than when you started. You didn't rest. Your attention was working the entire time, just without your permission and without your memory of it. That's the part almost nobody says out loud. Passive scrolling isn't rest, it's labor your brain doesn't get credit for. And there's a second cost hiding underneath the first one. While you're watching other people's days, their trips, their mornings, their relationships, some part of your brain processes it as if it's happening to you. Not fully, but enough that watching someone else live can quietly substitute for actually living yourself. You didn't travel. You watched someone pack a bag. You didn't have the conversation. You watched 2 strangers have one, in a video edited to feel like closeness. None of it is wrong to enjoy, but it's worth noticing what it's quietly replacing. I'll be happier when I get the promotion. I'll start when things calm down. I'll figure it out after this next thing is done. Every one of these sentences feels reasonable in the moment you say it. That's what makes it so easy to keep saying. But notice what they have in common. They all move your actual life into a future version of yourself, a person who is somehow calmer, braver, more ready than you are right now. There's a reason a trait feels so easy to make. When researchers scanned people's brains while they thought about their future selves, something unexpected showed up. The regions that lit up weren't the ones we used to think about ourselves. They were the regions we used to think about other people. Your brain quite literally treats your future self like a stranger, which explains a lot. It's easy to hand your dreams, your hard conversations, your unfinished plans to someone else, especially when that someone else doesn't feel like you yet, so you wait. Not out of laziness, out of a kind of quiet faith that later will be easier than now. But later is never a version of now with more room in it. Later is just another now, handed off to another stranger who will do the exact same thing. That's the waiting room, not a place you're stuck in, a place you keep choosing to stand in, one small delay at a time. Some people don't lose their life to doing nothing. They lose it to doing everything except the one thing that matters. A full calendar, errands, replies, small tasks that all feel urgent and none of which actually move anything forward. At the end of the day, they're exhausted and somehow no closer to the thing they've been meaning to do for months. This isn't a discipline problem. It's something closer to a hiding place. Answering an email gives you a small, immediate sense of completion. Finishing the hard thing, the career change, the difficult conversation, the thing you actually care about, doesn't offer that same quick payoff. It's slower, murkier, and it comes with the risk of failing at something that matters to you. So the brain, given the choice, often reaches for the task that feels productive instead of the one that is. It's not laziness. It might even be the opposite. Some of the busiest looking people are avoiding the exact same thing as someone lying on the couch, the discomfort of sitting still long enough to face what they actually want. The tasks are different. The avoidance is identical. You're in the shower, or driving, or trying to fall asleep, and suddenly you're mid-argument with someone who isn't even in the room. You're defending yourself against something they never actually said, winning a conversation that never happened, and somehow still walking away from it upset. This can eat entire evenings, and nobody around you would ever know it happened. There's a reason it feels so consuming. Replaying a conflict can activate the same emotional alarm system as living through one. Your body doesn't fully know the difference between a threat that's real and one you're only imagining. So it reacts anyway. Tense shoulders, racing thoughts, a night quietly ruined by a conversation that only ever took place in your head. Overthinking often gets mistaken for problem solving. It feels productive, like you're working something out. But there's a difference between thinking through a feeling and endlessly circling it. One moves you somewhere, the other just keeps you company while nothing changes. Sometimes the safest feeling option isn't to face a hard emotion. It's to analyze it from a careful distance, for hours, without ever actually feeling it. That distance can feel like understanding. Often it's just another way of not dealing with it. This next one is a little uncomfortable to say, mostly because of where you're hearing it. You can spend real time, hours, some weeks, watching videos about how to fix your life. Productivity systems, morning routines, the perfect habit tracker. Ways to finally become disciplined, focused, unstoppable, and somehow still avoid the one decision, the one conversation, the one uncomfortable step that would actually change something. Here's what's happening underneath that. When you watch someone explain how to improve, your brain registers a small hit of satisfaction, almost as if you'd already done it. You get a taste of the reward of change without any of the risk of actually attempting it, which means the more advice you consume, the less urgent it can start to feel to act on any of it. The craving gets quietly fed just enough to go quiet. This isn't a reason to feel foolish for watching something like this. It's worth saying clearly, wanting to understand yourself is not the problem. Curiosity about your own mind is not a trap. But there's a line, and it's worth knowing where it is. Understanding your life and living it are two different things. One can occasionally start standing in for the other, quietly, without either of you noticing. The 40-minute video about how to focus can start to feel like 40 minutes of actual work. It isn't. It's 40 minutes of getting ready to. None of the things in this video look like wasting a life. Scrolling for a few minutes doesn't. Staying busy doesn't. Preparing carefully before you act doesn't. Waiting for a slightly better moment doesn't. Even watching a video like this one does it, on its own. That's exactly what makes them so easy to miss. We tend to picture a wasted life as something dramatic, years lost as something obviously destructive. But for most people, it doesn't happen that way at all. It happens in minutes. Handed away so casually they never feel worth noticing. A scroll here, a delay there, a hard conversation quietly rescheduled again. None of those moments feel significant enough to mourn. That's the actual danger. Not one enormous mistake you'd immediately recognize and regret. The life given away in pieces too small to ever set off and along. You don't wake up one day having thrown your life away. You wake up one day and realize you've been quietly setting it down, a little at a time, for years, and nobody, including you, ever noticed it happening. So what do you do with that? Probably not what you're expecting. This isn't the part where you're told to overhaul your mornings, delete your apps, or become a completely different person by next week. That kind of advice rarely survives past Thursday. And honestly, it's not what any of this was actually about. Maybe the answer isn't becoming more productive. Maybe it's becoming more awake to the life you already have. Eating a meal with someone without your phone on the table. Walking somewhere with nowhere particular to be. Calling the friend you've been meaning to call, today, instead of the version of today that keeps getting rescheduled. Doing the hard thing before you feel ready for it, because readiness was never actually going to arrive on its own. None of these are dramatic. That's kind of the point. The goal was never to make your life bigger. It was to help you notice the one you already have. You don't need to fix everything about how you're living. You just need to catch yourself a little more often in the moments that are quietly slipping by unnoticed. That's not a small thing. That might be the whole thing. Here's something worth sitting with. A lot of what you just watched comes down to one idea. You keep handing pieces of your life to a version of yourself that doesn't exist yet. Someone calmer, someone more ready, someone who finally do the thing you keep putting off. But who exactly is that person? And why does your brain treat them like a total stranger? That's actually the subject of the next video. Why your brain struggles to care about your future self, why that makes procrastination feel so natural, and what actually changes when you start closing that gap. If this video made you think about your own patterns, that one will probably hit even harder. It's called Your Future Self. It's begging you to watch this. I'll leave it right here.